So it's not going to be easy. It's going to be really, really hard. We're going to have to work at this every day. But I want to do that because I want you. I want all of you. Forever. Every day. And that's from the classic, The Notebook.
And welcome back to episode 71 of Crips and Corks. I'm your host, Uncomfortable, here with my co-host.
Very, very comfortable and moist, as usual. On a very special Valentine's Day episode of Crips and Corks. I am now a WWE announcer. Yeah!
Jesus. I'm still getting over how uncomfortable that quote made me. I don't particularly like The Notebook.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better when he reads it all romantic-like, so I had to mix it up a little bit. Make it a lot more uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah, you made it very uncomfortable. And this is why this February is also National Domestic Abuse Awareness Month. So don't forget to go to the National Coalition to End Domestic Violence.
Well, I did not know that. And I don't know how to respond to that. And I am sorry. A preemptive apology to everyone.
I'm sorry. It's the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence.
Period. Go ahead and donate to them. Domestic violence is not a joke, and you know what else is not a joke? And something I need to address that's been on my mind this week.
What?
Straight theater men have too much power.
Yes, they do. And I have always said that.
Yes! The girls all lust after them, they're too confident, they have too much power, and the gays are lusting after them too. They've got a whole... and the teachers love them. The teachers love them.
Now, what straight theater man has made you feel this today?
All of them. You know which one? It's not all of them, because some straight theater guys are nice and cool and normal. It's the ones that are pretty, can sing well, confident, everybody wants them. They are too powerful for their own good, especially for a teenage boy that's straight. Too powerful. Someone needs to take it down a peg, knock them down a peg.
But I think it is a core canon event, whether you be a straight female or a gay male, of crying in the dressing room during intermission because you saw the straight man playing the romantic lead kissing his girlfriend.
Yes. Oh my god. The way there was a straight couple, the guy I'm referring to, there was a straight theater guy, this to a T, hot, sings well and everything, and he was dating one of the girls in our theater program, and they were so cute, it made me fucking sick. I was so jealous of them. He would bring her donuts before our shows.
And this is when Paul became the Phantom of the high school auditorium and dropped that chandelier, riding the rope down to seek his vengeance.
Yes, exactly. I was the Phantom of Fort Hill High School. In the Cumberland Theater. I was actually never in any of my high school theater productions. I was in the local community theater production of Fame. Music student number 3, tell your friends. It was very impressive. I can't sing, as you guys know. They let everyone in who auditioned.
I have had many a starring role on the stage.
You did play a really good cup in Two Girls, One Cup.
Moving on.
And this is completely sober. We're still sober right now, you guys. We're not drinking.
It's still
until
January
next
for
week.
us.
Yeah.
Paul, was that how your week was?
Yeah, that's how my week was. How was your week?
It was good. I finally am no longer sick anymore. I think I talked about this last episode too.
You did.
But I'm just thriving.
Yeah.
I can taste
Skin's
again.
clear. We're beautiful and pink. Pretty and pink, if you will.
I can drink things other than hot tea.
Yes, period.
Eat things that aren't soup.
That's good. That's good. I do love a good broccoli and cheddar soup. Preferably in a bread bowl.
Now, see, when you're sick, broccoli and cheddar just doesn't do it.
Yeah, you need chicken noodle when you're
Yes.
sick. Yeah, for sure. I agree
And
with
nothing
that.
but chicken noodle.
Yeah, I agree. Chicken noodle or like wedding soup, Italian wedding soup when you're sick is
I
really
don't like
good.
Italian wedding soup when I'm sick.
I do. I like it. It reminds me of my grandmother. She used to make that for me. Right
That's
out of the
cute.
Progresso can.
Not
Maybe
the
it's
Progresso can.
Maybe it's not Progresso. I forget what
Campbell's?
brand it was. No, you're right. It's Progresso, I think. Whatever. It's fine. How's your Valentine's? Any prospects? I don't have any prospects.
I have none.
We're single again.
I'm dying alone. I might as well become a nun.
At this point, guys. We're single
It's
another
been
year.
so long that my has just sealed up. It's like a tombstone.
It's just
Cobwebs.
closed for business.
Closed. I'm a born again virgin.
Me too. We're born again, guys. Tell your friends. Tell your friends.
I can't even get a man to get me flowers.
Right. It's rough out here in these streets. And if you're on the dating apps, you know how rough it is. It's what it is. It's rough in these streets. What can you do?
Let me amend this. It is rough when you're not willing to lower your standards in desperation and date just anyone who likes you, unlike some people we know.
How is your dad? That was a joke. I don't know anything about your dad's dating life. Sorry,
He got
DJ's
dumped.
Dad.
He got dumped
Oh.
shortly before Christmas. It's fine.
Well, before this gets too depressing, why don't we get into today's pop culture corner?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni. Okay.
Yes.
We all know about the lawsuit going on.
Yes.
And there's a new theory going around that it's because Ryan Reynolds got jealous of Justin Baldoni, right? And Blake Lively might have caught feelings for Baldoni a little bit and played into it. But then Ryan Reynolds caught them like looking at each other or something, or saw some weird texts and got super mad. And she was like, Blake Lively was like, oh no, he's harassing me. Like, this is like, he's being so weird. And she had to roll with it. So that's the new theory that's going around
I
on
don't
TikTok.
know, because the last theory was that she was trying to direct it.
Well, that was happening, yeah.
Yeah, and
Both him and her. Ryan and Blake.
Yeah, but like she was actually on the movie, so like Ryan had like kind of a second hand in it.
Yeah, but like Ryan would just show up to set and be there because I guess he got jealous, so that's why he was on set all the time. He didn't want Baldoni
And you know, this
around
makes me
Lively.
so upset because I used to think Ryan Reynolds was such a nice guy.
Yeah, now all this stuff is coming out about him being like
And
jealous.
Justin Baldoni, like having to have his family in the basement for the movie premiere.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy about them. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, there's something about Blake Lively that doesn't sit right with me. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something there that doesn't sit right with me. And I'm very interested to see how all of this plays out.
Yes.
This whole lawsuit and everything. Honestly, low-key, I'm not gonna take sides, actually.
I also read that Blake Lively didn't even read the book before doing it.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. She probably read the script and was like, I don't need to read the book.
I just understand the character. Like, I have my own vision for the character.
Yes. What is also interesting to me is how she's friends with Taylor Swift, and Taylor's being brought into it. So it's interesting to see like that part of it too, because I could see Blake Lively and Taylor hanging out. They give off somewhat of the same energy. Like Taylor's a lot more clean than Blake is, but
I think they know one another, but I think they're two very strong, passionate women.
yeah.
And I kind of get the vibe that they would clash if they were like they could be like kind of friends, but I don't think that they're sitting having a bottle of wine and bitching about their problems. I think it's, oh yeah, I love Blake. I think she's phenomenal, and it's, hi Blake, how are you? Great, Taylor, how are you? And then they move on.
Right. It's just like they're two famous people who interact.
Yes. But no, I don't think, and it's not a bad thing, because there are plenty of men who are very strong and passionate about what they do, and it's just better for them to steer clear of one another.
Yeah. At this point, they shouldn't talk they're going to have to talk for the trial and everything. We'll see what happens. As usual, we'll keep you guys updated on the trial and see how that goes.
I think my legal 2 cents as a lawyer, that's me putting my lawyer plaque out. I'm not a lawyer, but if I were a lawyer and if I was representing Miss Taylor Swift, my suggestion, Miss Swift, would be that you do not take the stand as a witness and that you do not get called as a witness because you really have nothing to do with this lawsuit, okay, ma'am? So I really don't answer that subpoena, okay, Miss Swift?
I agree. I very, very much agree.
I'm going to take my lawyer plaque back.
Oh my gosh, you sounded like that lawyer in the Menendez
I know, that's what I was doing.
Because we just watched the Menendez brothers.
I know, that's what I was doing.
Yeah, I've been thinking about the Menendez brothers a lot.
These boys, these poor, innocent boys, were victims. They were not the perpetrators. They were the victims.
That was actually a really good accent.
Thank you.
You sounded a lot like her. That was really good.
Thank you.
But no, but one thing, I am excited about the Ed Gein Monsters story that's going to come out soon on Netflix. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I have.
Now, I did almost cancel my Netflix subscription this week because they're upping prices. So I almost canceled my subscription,
Again?
but I'm probably going to keep it. So we'll see what happens with that. I am still a little angry with them for raising the price again, but what are you going to do, you know?
Oh, well.
Do you have anything to add for Pop Culture Corner or for your week?
No.
All right, let's get into today's drink. Now, we are still sober, guys, since it is still January, and I had to give something a little Valentine's Day themed. So, I decided to do a copycat pink drink from Starbucks. This includes some strawberry white cran juice, coconut milk, and simple syrup, along with some frozen strawberries I chopped up and put right on in there. So, why don't we give our good old pink drink, our copycat at-home pink drink, a little sip. Cheers. Oh my god.
Okay.
That's so good. Oh my god. That's gonna be a new go-to. Now, thoughts?
It's good. I wish it had Malibu rum in it.
Yeah, see, I was thinking what alcohol you could add to this, and I think you're right. Malibu would be the alcohol.
I kind of want to run into your fridge right now and get the coconut cream from the Dirty Sodas episode and add that just for a little extra coconut.
Yeah, honestly, I wish it was a little more strawberry-ish. I should have put more strawberry
Mine's
juice.
very strawberry-ish.
I must have put more strawberry in yours than mine. Whoop. Tradesies. I think they taste the same.
Yours has less strawberry in it.
Yeah. Either way, I think they're really
Yeah,
good.
they are very good.
And if you like strawberry milk, this is for sure the drink for you. And if you don't do dairy, coconut milk.
It kind of tastes like strawberry ice cream that's been melted.
Yeah, it's really good. I would definitely drink this again. This is definitely something I will be making again. No, 5 grapes. I very much enjoy this copycat pink drink I made.
I'll give it 5 too.
It's a very good drink. So again, guys, try this at home and let us know down below what you think of the copycat pink drink, because we are living. We stand. Yep. We're going to have to try this with alcohol at some point. Maybe in the next couple months we'll try it with alcohol.
Okay.
Put a little Malibu or something in it.
Malibu!
Wait, what's that Kim Petras song? It's just called Malibu. I don't know.
My coconuts, you can put them in your mouth.
Right now, right now. Right now, right now.
Coconut milk.
Yes, period.
It all comes back to Kim Petras.
It really does. We stan Kim Petras. This is a Kim Petras stan podcast, if you hadn't noticed. But I think it's time, DJ.
Yes, it is time.
Let me tell you a story.
Please, I've been waiting.
Picture it. You've been dating someone for about a month now, and it's Valentine's Day. You guys go to a nice dinner and then a walk around the neighborhood after, during which they stop you, look you in the eyes, and say, "Wow, you're so pretty. I can see the sun, moon, and stars in your eyes. There's a whole universe in them that I cannot wait to explore." You kiss for a minute, and then, wham! He hits you with the goat skin.
Wait, what?
It stings you, and you are now bleeding. Your vision is red with blood. They keep hitting you, and hitting you, and hitting you until you cannot move. And then he says, I will not be with an infertile nymph. My ancestors reigned from the Roman Empire, and our bloodline will not be sullied. I will whip you until your fertility flows into the earth. This is the Valentine's tradition of my people, and you will feel it in your bones. And as you lay there bleeding, you can't help but look down at the glimmer of your ring and think, at least you went to Jared. That's right, kids. Just as every kiss begins with K, Valentine's Day begins with violence. Today, we are going to explore the dark history and traditions behind Valentine's Day.
That was such a 360.
Like
Or 180. It was a 180 because
Yeah.
it was... I mean, one minute he's like the most cliche. There's a universe in your eyes I can't wait to explore. What's a goat skin?
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
What?
Trust and believe. We're
But
gonna
he's
get
just
to
like beating you, calling you an infertile nymph.
that. Honestly, I made up the infertile nymph part. That's not a real thing people say.
Like, oh my god, this is like a Criminal Minds episode.
A little bit. No, most people don't realize how bloody and weird and just all sorts of spooky the history of Valentine's Day is. So we gotta let the people in. Gotta let them know. You like history? I think you're really gonna enjoy this episode. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
You know, that sounded almost as bad as my own Valentine's Day is gonna be.
It's just gonna be...
Jokes aside, domestic abuse is not a joke.
Domestic abuse is not a joke. I completely agree. But right off the bat here, let's get one thing straight and two things gay. What's going on with Cupid? What's going on there? Well, I'm gonna tell you. Cupid wasn't always a baby, okay? He was actually a hot Greek god named Eros. And he was the god of love, and his weapon of choice was arrows. And he had two types of arrows, okay? One was a golden arrow to strike overwhelming love with people, and the other was a lead arrow that would strike hate toward
Oh.
Yes. Now, in one story, he hits Apollo with the golden arrow and Daphne with the lead one. So basically, he made Apollo fall in love with Daphne, but
Yes.
Daphne hate Apollo, causing yearning and chaos, which is actually a lot of what Eros does, which I think is actually...
Isn't Eros... No, sorry, I was thinking of Ares, which is the Greek name for the god of war. No, that's Mars. Yeah, Ares is the god of war, so Eros is the god of love and hate. Okay.
You were the Percy Jackson kid. I was not. I was messing with Sailor Moon and anime, so I don't know much about the Greek gods and whatever. I just know...
Are you going to end the story of Apollo and Daphne?
No, that's just what I was going to bring up.
He chases her until she turns herself into a tree to escape him.
Oh, she turns herself into a tree?
Yeah.
Interesting. But you guys know what's more interesting? This depiction of Eros intimidated people, the chaos he would cause, and how he was like kind of just like this man acting on his own free will, just fucking with people. It really intimidated the public.
Since when has anyone had problems with a man fucking shit up on his own free will?
That's a good point. But I guess back in this Greek era, it wasn't sitting right with the people.
Okay.
So they had to tone down Eros. And how did they do that? They turned him into a baby who still had the arrows and everything, but who acted on the direction of his mother, Aphrodite.
Okay, this is the story I'm familiar with.
Yeah. So they turned him into the baby, made everything he was doing not of his own volition, but of his mother's direction. So Aphrodite was controlling the arrows in this story now. And this made it a lot less intimidating
And
for
didn't
the
Eros
people.
become like the god of lust and sex?
I think Eros he was always
Because
the god of
erotica.
love. He's the god of love and everything, yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying the god of lust and sex because erotica comes from Eros.
Well, I didn't know that. That's a good fact and tidbit. So we got our expert Percy Jackson kid out here. Now, so after this, this Greek era. Then the Romans adopted Eros and actually named him Cupid,
Stole him.
which actually translate to meaning desire in Roman, which I'm pretty sure Eros does mean desire in Greek. So they just took their word Cupid for desire and gave Cupid. And obviously they kept the baby form. They didn't keep this like Greek masculine form. They decided to keep the baby form. And that's the Cupid you see today, is this baby god that actually used to be a sexy god with muscles and everything, but they turned him into a baby to make him more palatable, and the Romans took it over, okay? Now, the first Valentine's Day celebration can actually be tracked to the Romans as well. So the Romans would celebrate what they would call Lupercalia, and they would celebrate this from February 13th to February 15th. And Lupercalia was a festival that was supposed to promote fertility, which was very important to them back in the day because a lot of people died in childbirth and things. Girl, what are you counting?
Hang on. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, December, January. So a lot of Roman babies were probably born in December and January.
Probably. Lots of, what is that, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Aries?
Capricorn.
Same thing. They're all the same. What can you do?
I'm just saying, if you're having a fuck fest every February, middle of February, you're probably going to have a lot of babies born in middle of January.
That's true. That's true. And let's get in a little bit into about what, like, Lupercalia was, what was going on. I know you just said it was a fuck fest, but let's get into that a little bit. So, to warm up for the festival, women's names are placed in a bowl or vessel, and then the men would draw the names out. And whoever name they would draw, that's who they would be paired with
Are
for
these
the festival.
married men and women?
Oh, it's everyone.
Oh.
So you could be...
Swingers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a big swinger
It's
party
the bathhouse.
orgy.
It's Fire Island.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy things going there. So, what did they do during this festival to promote fertility? Well, the Lerpici, or what they would call priests, would slaughter goats and a dog in a sort of ritual. And then after the slaughter took place, the Lerpici would be led to an altar, and their foreheads would be touched by a bloody knife. And then the blood would be wiped off by wool soaked in milk. Now, the milk would probably come from the goats that were slaughtered before they were slaughtered, obviously. And the weird part about this ritual is while they were putting the blood on the priests were supposed to laugh during this. Like, act like they were just laughing, dying, have a good time, while this blood is being smeared on this forehead. Which is straight out of a horror movie. Like, could you imagine just
It's very Midsummer.
It is very Midsummer.
But, like, is there a point?
That, yes, they're, like, taking the sacrifices or whatever.
Okay.
So, after this ceremony begins the feast. Like most festivals, there's a feast. So the feast is pretty normal, average stuff. They're just celebrating. But it's what comes after the feast that's really interesting, okay? So after the feast, the Lerpici, they would cut strips of the skin of the sacrificed animals off and run through the village, hitting women, believing that when
With the goat skin?
Exactly, yes. They would hit them with the goat skin to promote fertility. And actually, the women would line up to be hit by this skin because they believed it promoted fertility. So they're just being hit with this bloody goat skin. So that's where, like, them getting hit in my intro, that's where this comes from, is Lupercalia, where they would hit the women with the goat skin from the goats that were sacrificed to promote fertility. Okay. Any questions so far?
No.
All right. Now, this was all fun and games until the year 494, when Pope Gelasius I forbade this ritual, because he's a boring-ass bitch, and replaced it with Candlemas. Now, the Candlemas is actually a feast it's the Christian Feast of Purification, celebrating when Mary went to purify for 40 days at the temple in Jerusalem after the birth of Jesus. Now, I had actually never heard of this festival before. You don't celebrate?
I've never heard about it.
I've never heard about it either, but apparently that's what happened. But there are other people who theorize Lupercalia might have been replaced with St. Valentine's Day instead of that Candlemas thing. So some people think St. Valentine's Day would come much later, though. So that's why I'm saying people theorize. They're not too clear of the timeline if, like, the St. Valentine's Day came first or if it was Candlemas that eventually turned into St. Valentine's Day. There's some debate over it.
No, I hear you keep saying St. Valentine's Day rather than Valentine's Day.
Oh, well, who's St. Valentine's Day, you ask?
Yes.
Or who's St.
Valentine?
Valentine? He's actually the saint of lovers, people with epilepsy, and beekeepers. Now,
Those are three things that are not related at all.
I know, well, actually, bees could be seen like sexual in some kind of way. Like how they're just like buzzing and vibrating. That could be seen as sexual.
Or you
in
mean
a way.
how they're the conduit for how flowers reproduce?
Oh, that's prettier. I like that more. That's a lot prettier than what I was saying. So, Saint Valentine was supposedly a Roman priest who performed secret weddings against the wishes of the authorities. Once he was caught doing this and imprisoned, he healed one of his captor's daughters, curing her of her blindness. And as we know, to be a saint, you have to have a miracle. So this
Was his miracle.
Exactly.
I wonder what my miracle would be.
Well, it's certainly not that sweater.
Thank you for turning me into another episode of Crips and Corks. Paul will not be joining me next episode.
Okay. So, one thing I do want to note, the priest was actually imprisoned in a house instead of a jail because he was considered a nobleman. Back in that day,
Yes.
priests were considered noblemen.
Okay.
So that's why he wasn't in a jail. Okay. So,
Was he a Christian priest or was he a Roman priest?
he was Roman. Wait, is there a difference? What?
Well, yeah, he's a Christian saint. So was he like performing Christian weddings or?
Well, he was definitely a Roman priest. It says
Okay,
here,
so maybe
Roman.
he was a Roman nobleman who became a Christian priest. Let's go with that.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll go with that. So, this caused the people in the household he was imprisoned with to convert to Christianity. They witnessed the miracle, convert to Christianity, okay? And by people, I'm referring to, like, the security guards, people who basically
And their
watching
families,
him.
yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And this would seal the priest's fate. Because he would be executed on February the 14th! Rock and roll, brother! Okay.
How was he executed?
He was beheaded.
Oh.
Now, other stories tell of a second Saint Valentine who was imprisoned for helping Christians.
Oh.
He fell in love with one of his jailer's daughters and signed his last letter to her, "Your Valentine,"
Aww.
before they beheaded them both on February the 14th. They were also tortured.
It's weird that two guys, like, if I had a nickel for every time a guy named Valentine was executed by the Romans by beheading on February 14th, I'd have two nickels, which isn't a lot, but it is kind of funny.
Yeah, and that's why there's actually debate within the community which story is actually true, which is the real Saint Valentine. So I guess it's like a pick your own journey, kind of like a Mad Lib, I guess.
I do think there are probably two Saint Valentines.
Mm-hmm.
I think only one of them was killed on February 14th. But the other one just kind of like, yeah, we'll throw him on that day too.
Well, my research said both of them were killed on the 14th.
History is written by the winners.
That's true. It could have been wrong. And most of my research is coming from the historychannel.com, not .gov, so what can you do? Now, real quick, let's get through some boring shit before we get back to the spooky shit.
Okay.
So, how did this turn into the Valentine's Day we know today? Well, a poet with a dumbass name, Geoffrey Chaucer, and Geoffrey spelled the annoying way, he wrote a poem in 1380 called Parliament of Fowls that had a line, "For this was on St. Valentine's Day when every bird comes to choose his mate." Now, this inspired many poets to write poems focused on romance, mainly focused on the romance between knights and noblewomen who could not marry, mainly because...
That was my night music.
Period. Now, they mainly couldn't marry because the noblewomen were mostly already married.
I thought you were going to say their dad said no.
No, they were mostly already married, so their love was forbidden for obvious reasons. Then, in the 1400s, poets would write love poems to those they admired and called them Valentines.
Oh.
It just spiraled from there. Now, we're going to get back into the spooky stuff because the rest of the history is boring. No one cares about how Cadbury popularized the chocolate or whatever. No one cares.
I love Cadbury chocolate.
Yeah, I don't really like their chocolate, but they did popularize giving chocolate on Valentine's Day. Now, also, another interesting fact before I move on to spooky things is they would, in the beginning of Valentine's Day, they would actually send what they would call vinegars, where they not only sent Valentines to the people they loved, they would send vinegars to people they hated. And just, like, I guess, telling them off and shit.
I have a great idea. Check your mailbox.
Oh my gosh. Because of the sweater comment, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Girl. Now, let's get back to the spook with the Valentine's Day Massacre.
You're very pleased with this music effect you have going on.
Yes, I spent a long time looking for royalty-free heavy metal music.
Okay.
That wouldn't get us flagged, so... So, in the late 1920s, gang violence ruled the streets of Chicago, and it was led mainly by none other than Al Capone, who was trying to take out his competition who was infringing on his illegal trade, okay? There were multiple gangs, and they were all trying to get in on this illegal trade.
You don't gotta tell me, that's my uncle.
What do you mean?
I was trying to make a joke about Al Capone being my uncle, but it didn't land, so let's just move on.
We'll get it next time, guys. Well... Like me, this era of violence climaxed on February 14th. But
I wish I could climax on February 14th.
Right, don't we all? But this climaxed in 1929 when 7 men associated with the Irish gangster George Bugs Moran, one of Al Capone's rivals, were shot to death by several men dressed as policemen. And this occurred in a garage at Lincoln Park in Chicago. So basically, they dressed up as policemen, went in, were like, we're arresting you, lined them up, shot them point blank there. And while it is still like largely unsolved who actually did this murder, because since they were dressed as policemen, they were able to like blend in and like escape.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not proven that this was like lackeys of Al Capone that did this, but it is very, very heavily suspected that it was actually Al Capone's
Who ordered the hit.
Exactly, because that was one of his big rivals. But get ready, because the story doesn't end there, guys. So, after the shooting, the garage was torn down and became an antique shop. But only tourists would come and visit this antique shop because everyone in town knew that men were shot there and like knew what had happened in this building. So, the antique shop quickly went out of business, and the building was torn down.
You know, they really missed a prime opportunity to sell all sorts of Al Capone-related t-shirts.
See, that's what I'm saying. They could have made this into, like, Mothman. What Point Pleasant did with Mothman, they could have done with this garage. But, unfortunately, they tore down the building, but for some weird reason, they kept the wall that the guys were shot in front of. And when they rebuilt it into a nightclub, and that wall actually became part of the men's bathroom. And the people who knew what this wall was, they would actually try and smuggle the bricks from the wall outside. Like, they would break the bricks off and try and steal the bricks because, like, people were shot in front of those bricks. It's, like, a very famous, I mean, the Valentine's Day Massacre, everyone's heard of it. Like,
very weird.
But, to many of their dismay, the bricks were cursed. And many who stole the bricks got a lot of misfortune and bad luck. So, later, the nightclub was torn down, and now the place where the wall stood is the lawn of a nursing home, and a nursing home stands on this land, right? Mm-hmm. And there are trees planted to actually mark the different spots, like where the guys entered and where the guys did different things during the shooting. So, like, the trees are marked there.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, and it's weird they turned it into a nursing home, but that's none of my business.
Where's this wall now?
Tore down. Wall's gone.
I thought it was in a museum somewhere.
I read one report where they tried to sell it off like brick by brick, and that they like auctioned it off like brick by brick. And I also heard another report that they took down the wall and kept the bricks, and like they wrote down how to like rebuild the wall to so it was like exactly how it was, but no one actually ever bought it. So there's two different stories of what actually happened to the bricks. So today, people report seeing strange lights and mists in the area. Other people report hearing men's voices when no one else is around. Some people even report seeing figures of the gang members in the nursing home. So they're haunting the nursing home, these gang members. Mm-hmm. Oh, are you looking up, Al?
I looked up the wall.
So, there are even some reports of people hearing phantom machine gun shots. So the shots that killed them, people are hearing all sorts of shit to this day where the massacre took place.
That's crazy.
And empaths who visit report feeling fear when being near the site. And also, it's reported that animals also act strange during the site and they don't want to go near the spot where like they were shot.
So when we go to Chicago, we're going to go there, right?
Yeah, we can go and visit. We'll vlog it or something. We have to do something spooky while we're there. Speaking of traveling, because it's the beginning of next month, since this is coming out in February, the Pittsburgh Oddities Festival, we'll link it down below. It is March 1st and 2nd, and we will be there both days. So come on down, and if you see us walking around, come up, say hi, get a picture. There's going to be a ton of cool vendors and activities and plenty of spooky things there for everyone. So come on down, come see all the vendors, come see us, come say hi. And again, that is March 1st and 2nd from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So, another interesting thing about all of this is actually Al Capone started being haunted by an entity after the massacre. Now, it is said that that entity was James Clark, who was killed in the massacre. He was one of the gangsters killed. And Capone actually tried to rid himself of this entity in 1931 with a medium, but the medium didn't work. And if you asked me, he probably should have tried a large, but whatever.
Okay, but the way I nearly made a joke in there.
Well, I beat you to it. And he was actually haunted by this entity until the day that he died. So thus adding to the folklore that it was Al Capone's people who killed these men, Al Capone being haunted by this entity. Now, it's not proven that Al was actually haunted by any entities. This is just what the story says, guys, okay? So that, DJ, is the weird, bloody history of Valentine's Day.
It really makes you wonder why couples have to shove their relationships in our face on this one particular day. In the middle of the coldest, dreariest month. My seasonal depression is off the charts. Can you leave me alone, please? I just want to eat a McChicken and drink an entire bottle of wine by myself. And I should I'd have to feel bad about being single because you want to show your fuckfest on television.
And watch, he gets a boyfriend. He gets a boyfriend next month. His tune, it's going to be 360, 180. Valentine's about to be his favorite holiday as soon as he gets a boyfriend. Trust and believe. You know it's true.
Well, we'll see in the very unlikely of me getting a boyfriend.
Right, let's be real here. Neither of us. Our prospects are limited, and honestly, the apps suck. And honestly, if you're in a relationship right now, hold that shit tight. Don't let it go, because it doesn't get better.
And if they try to leave you, hit them over the back of the head with a goat skin and lock them in the basement.
Exactly. Unless they're abusive. If they're abusive, get the fuck out of there. Don't stay. If
For legal reasons, this is a joke.
Yes,
This
it was
is a
all
satire podcast.
This is a satire podcast. Now, DJ.
Yes.
I have a very, very important question for you.
Yes.
Smash or pass? Al Capone.
Pass.
Pass. I think I'm gonna pass too, but also at the same time, he's kind of powerful. So I like someone with power.
You do know he died of syphilis.
I did not know that. That could probably be avoided, though. You know, money can do a lot of things in this lifetime.
Not for Al Capone, it couldn't.
And I think he probably had a lot of money, and I think that's something I could benefit from. So, we're on the fence on this one. We're going to give it a neutral at this point. I'll do a little more research, and I'll get back to y'all about Al Capone. Now, do I know what he even looks like? I probably should, but I don't. And that's okay.
I'm going to make you eat your words.
Girl, that's not the only thing I'm about to be eating. Because pretty soon this diet is going to be somewhat over, and I can have a McChicken or something. And I have been missing McChicken. He's, like, not attractive. So we're going to pass. We're going to pass on Al Capone, guys.
Anything else, or is that all she wrote?
If you're alone on Valentine's Day, it's going to be fine. There's nothing wrong with being single. If anything, it's you're living your best life. We're out here living our best life, and you're not alone. There's so many single people out there. You're going to be fine. It's going to be fine, and if you have someone, enjoy it.
Let me amend that. If you're single this Valentine's Day, just remember you're not alone. We're keeping you company in spirit.
Exactly. Flesh and bone.
Let us know where you would like, or if your Valentine's Day plans, or if you're staying alone, below in our email, like, subscribe, follow, wherever you listen to us. Paul, where can they find you?
You can find me at my personal Instagram and TikTok at Paul Ember, Paulember.
And if you'd like to follow me, you can do so on...
As usual, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Sorry.
No, I forgot. I forgot to do it the last episode, too. So if you clocked that in the last episode, bonus points.
If you'd like to follow me, please do so on TikTok and on Instagram at TheRealDeechPowers. And here at Crips and Corks, we always like to give back, so please consider going to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. They can be found at www.ncadv.org and donating so that they can help in their crusade.
Period.
And don't get hit by a goat skin. Keep your crips tight.
And your corks loose.
Bye.
You're everything my ancestors wanted. The fertility, the hips, the eyes.